First chapter is inheritance. We are going to learn today about inheritance, the meaning of inheritance, what is base class, what is derived class, and the syntax for the derived class. And there are visibility modes. We are going to study about the visibility modes. Three visibility modes are there: public inheritance, private inheritance, and protected inheritance. So what is inheritance? Inheritance is a capability of one class to inherit the properties from another class. When there is two class, the properties of one class will be inherited by the another class. Then we tell it as inheritance. There are two classes here. One is base class and the other one is derived class. If base class is a class whose properties are inherited by another class, it is also called as superclass. Next is derived class. Derived class is a class that inherits the properties from the base class. It is also called as subclass. So these are two classes. They might ask for 2 marks. What is base class? What is derived class? Base class is a class whose properties will be inherited by some other class. For example, if a base class is a student, so student is a base class and the properties of the student will be inherited by some other class. Okay, derived class is a class. It is a class that inherits the properties from the base class. So the student is the base class. From the student, the derived class will inherit the properties that is from the base class. For example, the derived class is marks. Marks will inherit the properties of the base class. If we take another example, if father is the base class and son is the derived class, so son will inherit the properties from the father. So the base class is the father and the father's property will be inherited by the son. So the base class is also known as superclass and derived class is also known as subclass. So what are the advantages of inheritance? That is, we can reuse the existing code. Already a code has been existing. That code can be reused. And faster development time. We can develop the software or the programs within no time, and easy to maintain. You can maintain, that is, you can do any kind of debugging. All that can be done easily. Easy to extend. If you want to extend the program, then in case you want to update the program, then it is easy. Memory utilization can be done in an efficient manner. The syntax for the derived class. Class is the keyword. Derived class name is the name of the derived class, and this colon shows the derivation from the base class. And the visibility mode, there are different visibility modes like private, public, protected. It will specify which type of derivation we are using here, and base class is the name of the base class. So this part is called that is a base class, and here we have got the derived class. So this derived class has been derived from this base class, and the visibility mode can be private, public, protected, and class is a keyword over here. So this is the derived class syntax. So there will be one base class and there will be one derived class. So the derived class should be written using this syntax. In this example, you can see father is the base class and son is the derived class. So class father, like normal class, how you write, the same way you have to write the base class. That is class, father is the class name, that is class name is the base class name, and we have got access specifiers here, private and public, and char name 10. This is the variable which is being used, or the data member which is used. Again in public you have char address 10, int age, void read data. This is a member function. So we have been declared all the member functions and the variables inside the class. Then you close the class with a bracket and then put a semicolon. So this entire part is called as base class. Now the derived class is son. Son has been derived from the father. So class, again how I told you in the syntax, class is the keyword, son is the derived class name, and colon, in which that is for deriving a class, we are using a colon over here, and public is a visibility mode, and father is a base class name. So base class is father and son is the derived class. So son will inherit the properties from the father. So in the class that is son, we have private class gender 5 and public void display. So two access specifiers are there, and you have got the variable and then member function, and then you close the derived class and then put a semicolon. So this is the base class and this is the derived class. So you are just part of a program we have mentioned here. We are not writing the entire program, only we have mentioned the base class and here we have mentioned the derived class. So as I told you in the syntax, there is visibility modes. So there are three type of visibility modes. One is public inheritance, private inheritance and protected inheritance. First we'll see the public inheritance. Public members of the base class become the public members of the derived class. So the public members which are there in the base class will again become the public members of the derived class. The private members of the base class, the private members are there in the base class. That private members cannot be inherited by the derived class. It cannot inherit whatever the properties which are there, that is whatever the members which are there in the base class cannot be inherited by the derived class. The next one, the protected members of the base class will stay protected in the derived class. So again I am repeating, the public members will become public members, the private members cannot be inherited and the protected members will stay protected. Now the next type of inheritance is private inheritance. The public members of the base class become private members of the derived class. So whatever the public members are there of the base class will become private members in case of derived class. The private members of the base class cannot be inherited. The private members will remain as private only in the base class. It cannot be inherited by the derived class. And the protected members of the base class will stay protected in the derived class. So public members will become private members. The private members cannot be inherited and the protected members will stay protected. The next one is protected inheritance. The public members of the base class will become the protected members of the derived class in case of protected inheritance. The private members, it cannot be inherited. That is, it cannot be inherited by the derived class. The protected members will stay protected in the derived class. So there are three types of inheritance, that is visibility modes. That is, one is public, private and protected. So visibility modes, there are three types. One is public, private and protected. The public members of the base class will become public in case of public inheritance. Will become public in the derived class. The private members cannot be inherited by the derived class and the protected members will stay protected in case of derived class. In case of public inheritance, this is what happens. In case of private inheritance, the public members of the base class will become private members of the derived class, and the private members of the base class is not inherited by the derived class and the protected members will stay protected in case of private inheritance. Then the last one is protected inheritance. In case of protected inheritance, the public members of the base class will become protected members in the derived class. The private members are not inherited in the derived class and the protected members will stay protected in the derived class. So these are the three types of inheritance, that is public, private and protected.